And there. All right. Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to Transformation Tuesday, February 27th, 2024. Let's take a deep breath into this moment and this moment in time where there's so much shift. We are paradigm shifters. And just, who are paradigm shifters? we're dedicated, a global growing community dedicated to shift and uplift the planet. How's that sound? And we've been doing this since March of 2020. Isn't that fun?
Beautiful.
Yeah. And every Tuesday we like to bring in a topic, and the topic for this year actually is opening doors in 2024. And today we're going to be talking about music and opening doors with our guest speaker. But before we do that, I've been gleaming all these gold nuggets just in the last, couple of days. But yesterday I wanted to tell everybody about this gold nugget. I was on a phone call with a client of mine, and she asked me this question, and I thought this was a great question to ask everyone. Okay, if you could see yourself the way God sees you, what would instantly change? Whoa.
That's heavy.
I know. I know she said that, and I'm like, oh my God, you mean I would, I would lose all this fear, all this, and I just thought I would throw that out there to paradigm shifters. If you could see yourself the way God sees you, what would instantly change? Hmm. Heavy duty to start Tuesday with, right? Tuesday. And then I want to read a little passage for day 58 of the Year of Miracles. We are on the 58th day of 2024, February 27th. And the affirmation for today is, may I see all the beauty around me today. Often I'm so lost in my illusions that I do not see the beauty of the world or hear the music of the world or feel the love in the world. Today I choose to be aware of them all. Yes. Today I see all the evidence that the world is a wonderful place. May I not fall asleep to the miracles around me or the music around me. I embrace what the world has to give me, and I give thanks that it is so. Yeah. So our topic, or today, is all about music, and I am so thrilled to introduce my friend and colleague, Dr. Lynn Brinckmeyer. Now, I'm going to read this bio that just blew me away, Lynn. Is that all right?
Okay.
Okay, so you recently retired as a professor of music, associate dean of the College of Fine Arts and Communication, and director of choral music education at Texas State University. Okay, now during 2006 2008, you served as the president for National Association for Music Education. Yes, other past offices include president for the Northwest Division of MENC, Music Educators Journal Editorial Board, and on and on and on and on. I want to definitely highlight this part because I want to find out much more about this part. Lynn published 5 books. Wonder the USA with warm-ups. Whoa. The Wonder of Music with John Jacobson, Rhythm Rescue, Wonder the World with Warm-Ups with Hal Leonard Publishing, and Advocate for Music with Oxford University Press. So I want to come down here too. I love the fact that in Mexico you taught elementary music and middle school choir. Dear to my heart. I was a middle school teacher for many years, and you know, one of the things about the kids I worked with, they thrived in choir. They loved to sing. Yes. So, in addition to serving music teachers and students across the globe, Dr. Brinckmeyer mentors teachers and other professionals as a life mastery certified consultant, etc., etc. So we know each other. So I'm going to turn this over to you, Lynn. Tell us a little bit about, you know, where was it in your life where you knew that music was your thing, and just a little bit about maybe some stories about music and opening doors. How's that?
I think that sounds great. Pardon me. I decided I wanted to be a music teacher when I was 6 years old. I went to my first grade music class in Oklahoma, and Mrs. Davis was my music teacher. I met her. She was about 90 pounds and about that tall, but she was a ball of fire. And I decided I want to be her when I grow up, and I really never changed my mind. I that's what I wanted to do. So I was highly engaged in music. And my cousin was 4 years old, is 4 years older than me. She learned to play the piano very young. So every time I'd go to her house, about once a week, I'd be there about 5 minutes, and finally I'd go over and whisper to her and say, "Do you think you could play the piano?" And so we would go into the living room, and she would play the piano, and I would stand behind her and sing. And I did that from the time I was about 4, probably till about 11 when we moved to New Mexico. So that, I mean, I couldn't get enough music. That's all I wanted to do as a little kid, was to be able to play music, to play the piano, play instruments. And that has, that truly has never changed. I didn't decide at 5 years or 6 years old to be a music professor. That evolved later on. But that was the love of my life, was to be a music teacher, because she made me feel safe. She made me feel heard. I knew that I was learning constantly. And and another story about the first grade, that walk that kids do when they're going to the swimming pool, and they're not running, they're walking, but it's that almost running. And I would do that to get to the front of the line, and then I'd get in trouble and I had to go to the back of the line. But I just wanted to play the sticks so bad. I just wanted to be first so I could play the sticks. Finally, I learned to just walk in a nice line, and so I would get to play the sticks once in a while, but that was so important to me. So I can still find myself having the shame to go to the back of the line because I started running in the hallway. So that's how I decided that I wanted to be a music teacher. And that evolved into more of, how can I help people? I mean, just a quick story. I got married at 16, very much like our mentor, Mary Morrissey, and I was kicked out of school. And so, because I was having a family, and so I didn't go to the typical high school except only for just a couple of months, and went to night school, and I took the GED test, and then I did a college level examination program for my first year of college. And so I never gave up on the idea that I wanted to be a music teacher, but it was just a different path to get there. Stayed home with my kids when they were young. I didn't start going to college until they were in elementary school, because I wanted to make sure I had that time with them. And so, yeah, it wasn't the exact path that most people take, but I still got my degree. And I never stopped wanting to be a music teacher that entire time, and probably just even fired me up more to not take that opportunity to go to college for granted, like maybe some people do. It was this burning desire out there, and I didn't realize it at the time, but I was implementing many of the Dream Builder principles that Mary teaches us. And I had a burning desire. I was going to do that. I thought, all I know is I'm going to take this one test. I don't know if I'll ever graduate, but I'm going to take this. I'm going to do this one project. Baby steps, baby steps. Finally, after a while, I actually did get a degree, and I had the opportunity to help other people have music in their life, and also learn about how music can, your theme, open doors. Music learning opens up so many doors for all different types of learning. And there's this, my goal as a music educator is to make sure that everyone that possibly can is engaged in music making. Just like before you and I went live, we were dancing and had some wild music going on and using our bodies, endorphins are going through us. And that idea that rather than just being a consumer of music and just turning it on and listening to it, in our earphones, just to actually be engaged with it. So that's my biggest goal. And I don't know if I can share with you something. Jennifer Jimenez, one of our mentors, She shared with us in several PowerPoints a study by New England Journal of Medicine that if people engage in social dancing, that it increases brain acuity by 76%. And that Radha Agrawal, I'm not sure if I'm saying her name specifically correctly, but she's Daybreakers, as she created this. Sorry, this is Rachel. And when we engage in dancing together or movement, I mean, it doesn't have to be called dancing, it could be moving, it can be drumming, but something together, that we've got dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins, all that are being engaged. That's why you can think about when people go to a stadium to watch a game of some kind, they've got music going on and everybody's moving together. And so even though they might be doing what we might think of dancing, they're all feeling that energy together. So I guess you can tell I get a little fired up about this. So
It's important. It's so important too. And um, I love what you said, that you felt safe and you felt heard, and and that's so important, to feel safe in making music with like any sound that comes out, actually, or not even with your voice but with the sticks. I love
absolutely.
drummers, don't you?
Yes.
The kids in my class, the ones that would like everything, like,
On everything, on each other, on the table, on the paper, on the books. Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. There was a story, I can't quite remember who it was, but he was one of those kids, and a teacher saw that and like got him his first set of drumsticks, and I think he's a drummer in some hot band and everything. But um, to see the you worked with children, right?
Yes. Still do.
Oh, that's right. And to see, okay, what, mm, like what instrument, or maybe it's their voice, maybe it's not. Like, how did you? Yeah, tell me some stories of maybe like where you spotted something in a child who, and music brought them out. Any, I know you have stories. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you that through all of my learning and then the national travels when I was a national president, I got involved with world music drumming. And Will Schmidt is one of our past national presidents, and he's no longer with us. You can see that round drum on the wall back there. That's from him because I'm one of the staff members. But that using that drumming, he created that drumming, world music drumming, so that he spoke to the land of the gland, the middle school students, so that they would have a way to express what's going on inside them, because sometimes it's hard for them to verbalize whatever they're dealing with. But they would, and then we expanded it all the way to little kids, all the way up to, and I use drumming with my university students, with my children's chorus. So I'll just give you an example. The children's chorus I had at Texas State for the last, those 18 years I was there, the Hill Country Youth Chorus, I incorporated drumming in every rehearsal except maybe one or two right before a big concert. And that was the last 15 minutes. Now, some of those students would come in there. They really weren't coming in there to learn how to sing. They wanted to drum, but that's okay. You start where the students are, whatever they care about. So I'd get those students in there, and eventually, they're doing the solfege, you're singing. They're like, yeah, okay. But as soon as I say it's time to drum, they're like, okay, Dr. B, do you want me to move the chairs, and where do you want the drums to go? They would get so excited. So getting them engaged in making music, whatever they care about, absolutely. They did sing and they learned to express themselves and be able to participate in singing, but they still love the drumming more. That's okay. Just get them in the door and whatever they want. If you want to be in a band instrument, you want to play with that, or you just want to play with, I shouldn't say just, if you want to do garage band, create your own music online. However, you can find a way of expression. Absolutely want to do that. So that's one story I can think about. And then there's another one. This was a young woman. She's still in the choir now, even now that I'm no longer there, that there's a wonderful director taking care of it now. And she decided to be a choir director because of her expression. And she was, I think at that time she was 13 or 14. She came up to me one time after rehearsal. She said, Dr. B, I know what I want to do now for my life. And I said, well, tell me what it is. She says, I want to be you. I want to be a choir director. Now I get a little emotional when she tells me that. She said, I love this so much. I want to do this for kids. And she was already thinking how she could, it wasn't for her glory to get a one at festival. She was thinking how she could make a better life for the other kids that were going to be in her classroom. And that just meant so much to me, that was a big deal for her to decide. And she as far as I know, I mean, she still sends me a text or an email, usually about every 2 or 3 months. We still interact, and she's on her way. She's going to be a choir director. So,
I love that. I want to be you.
I hope to expand beyond that. So,
No, so what, and we started off with, if we saw, if you saw yourself the way God saw you, what would change instantly? Want to be you when people like see that in you, and right? I had somebody say that to me the other day, and I'm like, are you sure? Just get out there. It's okay to be you too. But yeah, tell me what I, that does. We were talking yesterday about your purpose, right? And when someone comes up to you and I want to be you, what is it that is keeping you going forward? When they say that, are you receiving that, or what's going on with
oh,
you?
absolutely. Now, absolutely, I'm receiving that, and it makes, as I said, it makes me really emotional. One of my goal as an educator, and even now, I'm still doing clinics, and I told you I still work with kids at a fourth grade honor choir here in Lubbock area. 2 weeks ago, which was I had 130 fourth graders all for a day, about almost a day and a half, and I was, that's my happy place. I was so in so much, just so much joy. And my goal is that everyone that has interaction with me and any of the music teachings that I have, that they learn how to be better humans. Do I want them to be good musicians? Of course, or to make music the rest of their life. But that's not, I'll tell you the reason I decided this one day, because I had this aha moment conversation with one of the professors at Eastern Washington University that I was teaching, because I taught in the Northwest for 15 years and 13 years at Eastern Washington. And I said, I love teaching music. And he said, you know what I love more? I said, no, he said, I love teaching people with the vehicle, through the vehicle of music. That was, I mean, that was profound. And that I changed my thought process immediately.
Ooh,
And
can you say that one more time? I'm going to write that down. You love teaching people
through the vehicle of music.
through the vehicle of music. Ooh,
Because you teach them how to be better team players, how to think differently, how to feel your own expression, how to be a contributing member of society and know when it's appropriate to have people all to be a soloist, when it's appropriate to be a team player. I mean, there's so many skills, life skills that they can learn, and just being in the same room and learning social skills with each other, and learning to read using both sides of the brain, using your body, both sides of the body. I mean, there's so much you can teach a person about, even though they may never sing or play again when they walk out the door when they graduate in elementary or in middle school or high school. Yet if they learn how to be a better human and contribute to society in a positive way, which is all that we learn all the time with our coaching business, that I've achieved something then. It's wonderful to get a one at festival, but that's not the reason I'm in this. And that's why I continue to do all these clinics. I I have the privilege of going across the country presenting clinics, and I'm doing a couple of clinics in across the globe later on this summer. I have this privilege because I still care so much that as many people as I can possibly reach, help them learn how to be a better human and use these principles from dream building now, which I can articulate better than I could before. I was teaching them before, but I didn't have labels for them, and now I do. And so I see myself getting real
no,
animated.
this is good. This is really good. I totally can relate because, you know, teaching people through the vehicle of blank, blank, blank. And, it's like, oh, for me, it's nature. But I do remember feeling that you said fourth graders. Oh yeah, what a great age! And my granddaughter's that age, and like, whoa, very verbal, very outgoing. And then there was a time where, at least in my life, where I've seen with kids where they shut it down, and they shut it down for so long, and now I'm watching as adults giving permission to go back and reopen that,
Yes.
whatever it is. And for the longest time, I did not grow up. I did not grow up in Texas. I grew up somewhere else, in Pennsylvania. But um, and in this congregation where the music was very hymnal, right?
Mhm.
And I had my ear out the window because the Baptists were across the street and they were having such a good time. And then it wasn't until I was an adult I gave myself to go permission and start to listen to some great gospel music. And yeah, tell me a little bit about like maybe an experience like oh yeah, I was talking to somebody else about you coming on there, and they said ask her about frequencies. Ask her about the frequency and vibration. You know, they're the scientific thing about raising the frequency, which is music, and vibration. And also, what she says, ask her about different colors of music. I know this might be kind of different than you thought, but I had this question and I thought I could ask you that frequencies.
Well, I'll talk about the colors first. Now, I know there is I'm not sure what, I don't remember the name of it, but some people do actually see colors when they hear music. And it's I know there's a name for it, but I'm sorry, I don't remember that. But there is, maybe you can Google it and find out. There are some people. I'm not one of those, but we talk about just like if I'm in a choral rehearsal and I'm going to say it at a more advanced level with the university students, they might be singing something, and I'm asked them, can you make this just a little bit more, put a little bit warmer, making it maybe make it a little more orange, make it a little bit more fiery red, put some power into that. Or sometimes I might say, this needs to be really crisp and clean. Let's put a little gray in this, so that they can, and it'll change the tone even with that. So there's colors of music, just, they're metaphorical, but there's that, but there's also the physical thing. So I don't know if that addresses what that person was asking me a question, but that's where my mind goes with this. Frequencies. Well, of course, when everyone is singing, there's the tuning note is A40, A440, so that's on the vibrational scale. There's something about the idea, though, it's just like in sports or in any other art form, it doesn't have to be music, but that idea when you're all collectively doing the same thing together, the vibration in the room is going to change. It's going to mean you have this synergy and this elation that you experience. And some people that aren't involved in these types of things never get to have that elation joy, just like I said to the honor choir in Lubbock 2 weekends ago. The joy on that stage, I mean, the students' faces were so proud at the end. We had a big pose at the end, and we were doing an African song, and you could just feel that joy bubbling off the stage there. I mean, all I could do just to keep from bursting into tears because they were so proud of them. I know the vibration raised, and automatic, the whole entire audience jumped up and started screaming. And that is about the work that those kids do, because they became a collective synergy together. And that raised the vibration. Yeah, we're singing vibrations, absolutely. We're singing particular pitches that have vibration, but there was a whole different kind of energy in the room that they would have never gotten, maybe even in their own classroom, because maybe there's only 25, 30 kids in their choir at school. They'll still have a beautiful experience there, but there's something collectively about an experience like that is it. I don't really have the words to describe it, but it was just really cool.
It's totally mind blowing, isn't it? I mean, probably another word for that, but that's what I would say, right?
It did. I mean, it did. And I just said it was a mountaintop experience. And because as soon as I start talking about it, I can go right back there and I can have all those sensations and that feel, and I can see their faces. I mean, I just put myself in that experience instantaneously.
Oh, cool beans. I love it. So I have another question for you. Evocative questions, right? So, so like paradigm shifters, we're a global community, right? One thing I love is the different cultural musics. I mean, that's where and food and everything else about it, nature. But going into the let's see, the like if you could, and oh yeah, we are a global community. So what is, and say like people had been squelching that music ability or not sometimes a disability of music, that's what they feel. They were told don't sing, you know, you're off key, all that stuff. But what is a tool that you could maybe give us that would maybe open a door? What would you suggest to people who are maybe we're like older adults and really have? I've heard from so many clients. I have, um, I don't have a voice, or they're afraid to get their voice out there. And I'm not even talking about music.
Right.
Tell us, like, maybe a little tool to like open that door.
Small hinges open big doors, absolutely. So I'll just address that real quick about being told. I mean, I did a research for my dissertation about people singing and singing tones to different types of instruments. And I can't tell you how many people tell me they walk in the door and say, I can't sing. I, I can't sing. My second grade teacher told me not to sing, or my grandmother told me not to sing. We adults have so much power. And if we tell someone, don't sing, go over there and play the sticks, something like that, or just mouth the words, they will never sing again. I mean, that is, and it carries on with our adulthood. So something to remember for all of us, if some child or adolescent or adult is singing out of tune, they're in a developmental phase of learning how to sing. If we can speak with inflection, and not everyone can, I mean, sometimes there's some physiological things, but if you can speak with inflection, you can sing. You may not believe it, and you may not know how to feel it yet, because we have to go with sensation sometimes and trust our brain, because we hear differently inside our head than what other people hear us in our speaking and singing voice. So just know that see them with compassion and, oh, wow, you're really developing your skill set, because some kids learn how to sing in tune earlier than others. And so that's just an aside for that. But talking about ways to open the door, one of the best things that I've ever found is to be able to chant. If you're uncomfortable with singing, then chant.
Oh,
And adding drumming to it, and you can drum on a table, but just if you watch some of the African, because I've been to South Africa a couple of times, in Tanzania, I'm going to go there again this summer, and they as I remember and recall from South Africa, they don't have a word for singing and dancing, and I mean, it's life. We isolate, this is dancing, this is singing, this is not, of course they've adopted some of the Western terms, but that the tribal indigenous, that's just life. When you go to a concert, at least some of the ones that I went to, they're not sitting there quietly in the audience listening. They are moving, because that music is speaking to them every single second, and those kids grow up that way. But if you find music that speaks to their life, whatever it is, if it's the Roaring Twenties, or so you mentioned maybe some of the elderly, but finding music that they actually cared about at some time, and having them chant the words, or having them do something physical, just tapping on a drum it's amazing, or tapping on a chair. It doesn't even have to be a drum, but that physical, that's using both hands back and forth, it's using both sides of the brain, it's opening up, and you start to feel it all over. And sometimes people just start drumming, can't see my hands, but they would just be barely doing this, because they were so, didn't want anybody to look at them, didn't even want anybody to see them. And so, because like you said, I don't have a voice, well, then don't look at me, because I'll draw attention to myself. But that chanting in group, in tandem, together, I mean, that, think about the football stadiums when they've got all the different kind of chants that you have from different universities, and every university around here in Texas has a different kind of chant that they do. That can open up that door. That speaking can help them, and if doing it in a safe environment with other people speaking the same thing, that way, if they don't want to be heard, they can speak softly. But eventually, then they gain more confidence and they start speaking stronger. Then that can open up the door to either doing something more physical. But I would say drumming and speaking, or chanting, are the two ways that I can reach kids, at least, that are nonverbal. Sometimes they won't speak, but they are, and I'm not saying won't. I'm not saying they don't choose to. Some don't choose to speak, but others have other reasons, psychological, going on. But they can get in it, and they might start very small. But eventually they start realizing this is okay, and I can drum with everyone else. So did that answer your question?
oh, absolutely. Physical therapy with music. Yeah. Music
Absolutely.
therapy. I mean, there's endless, endless. I love it. Chant. It never crossed my mind. And also the whole body movement. Wow, this is so good. Opening doors to something brand new. I mean, it doesn't have to be brand new. It could be something that was hidden, many years ago that's just yearning to come out. Wow, this is such good news. Well, gosh, we can go on and on. We have to have you back. So I gosh, I got all these notes down here. I love the fact I'm going to take with me that um, about the better humans, and that you're touching people through the vehicle of, for you it's music. I love that. So yeah, and take another deep breath in here. What a gift you are. What a gift you are, Lynn.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I know time will come when we need to close, but I'd like to share one story about how powerful music is. If you find the music that where people are, we've heard about Alzheimer's patients, that they can hear a song that they heard in their teens and 20s or 30s, and they can sing along with it when they can't have a conversation with people that they remember. And I had the privilege of being in Anaheim about a month ago at the NAM, that's the National Association for Music Merchants, their NAM service day in Anaheim. And I spent half a day in the classroom with a class of fourth graders and fifth graders, and then third graders for the rest of the day. And I was invited to teach them movement through using mariachi music. And so we had mariachi music playing, and I would guide them to do different particular movements, and they started following each other. Each student got to be a leader, and other people followed them. And the reason I share this story with you, we had 4 different classes. I did mariachi. Some people were doing ukulele and different things like that. But at the end of that morning, one of the little 4th grade boys, we were all convening together. One of the little 4th grade boys was running to catch up as the teacher, and he said, "This is the best day of my life." And he was so excited. And then at the end of the 5th grade, this was the first class I taught that day, I had sentence stems at the ends. We had some personal reflections, and students would think, pair, share, and talk to each other about what they just experienced. It was almost time for them to go. And so I told us to go find 3 people and tell the answers to the question. The first question was, "I like mariachi music because," and then I had a line there. And the other sentence stems was, "Mariachi music makes me feel." And then I had a line, and I said, "Go tell 3 people." Well, one young woman, she's a 5th grader, she was looking around. She told 2 people, but everybody else was engaged. And I said, "Well, come over and tell me." And she walked over and she said, "I like mariachi music because I'm heard." And then she said, "Mariachi music makes me feel like I matter." And that was so profound. I mean, I just about lost it emotionally, because she didn't know me except for the last 25 minutes. And for her to have that profound thinking in the 5th grade, that she felt heard and that she mattered with this type of music, was such a reminder to me to make absolutely sure that we start with students where they are and go to the music they care about. And the same thing with adults, adolescents, etc. Find whatever it is, even if it's not music, if it's something, what do they care about? And then expand their awareness and their comfort zone, but start with what they care of. So just like Mrs. Davis made me feel, I felt heard, I felt safe, I knew she loved me, I felt like I matter. And so I guess that's kind of a way to bring it and tie it up with a big bow, is that this student, she shared with me, and I would just, in such awe that she had that profound awareness, to be able to verbalize it to somebody she just barely met. That, first of all, to have that insight, but then to be comfortable enough to share it. So I just thought, wow, that was pretty profound. So I wanted to share that.
That's the gold nugget. That is the gold nugget. And we can go on and on. It just lit another light bulb. My daughter is a interpreter for the deaf in Florida, and one of her very favorite things is to interpret music concerts. And just to watch her with the movement,
Flowing dance, it's so beautiful watching them,
yeah,
absolutely.
and wow, yeah, it's so such key. I love it. So, what I would love to ask you, what is what is one thing that we could hold for you right now, our growing global community? Thank you for coming and opening up our eyes, our ears, our bodies to movement and music. What can we hold for you? What would
I
you love?
I I love already that I've recently launched my coaching business since I've moved to Lubbock and been closer to help my family. I am developing programs so that I can incorporate music more and more and offer programs for new teachers, years 1 through 5. We lose teachers in all subjects that first 5 years because it becomes so overwhelming, and sometimes they don't feel like they have a lot of support, and depending on where they live, especially if you think of some of the rural areas about Texas, and may be the only person in that grade or the only person in that Mr. Music or whatever it is that you teach or the only coach, those types of things, and offering a program incorporating music learning and engaging and moving our bodies in these programs that I'm developing. So I would love support so that I can continue to build this ability to build this program so that I can offer it to students very quickly. But my goal is to have it finished by the end of May. I'll put that out there so that makes me hold myself accountable, and that be able to offer that to teachers this summer so that they can take this program and get CPR for their soul when they get ready to come back to the fall. So
Oh, CPR for the soul. I love it. Well, we totally hold that for you. And please, please, please keep us informed of. There's so many teachers that are in paradigm shifters. Global. So this is so good, and it's all about shifting and uplifting and the planet. So here we go. We're gonna send energy to you. All you have to do is receive, receive. Right now, you're receiving. There you go. Whoosh. Get it?
I receive it. I feel my fingers and toes, everything, just my whole body's tingling. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Wow, that was great. Thank you so much. And wow, shifting and uplifting with music and body. And thank you so much for all you're doing in the
You're
world. It's
welcome.
been such a
I'm honored.
pleasure.
Thank
Amen.
you.
Oh, wow. That was great.